Alright, this is going to be a little bit of a body tutorial. I must warn you guys beforehand, and dear Anon specifically, that I don't really know what I'm doing. I've mostly made up what I've done as I go. That's just kind of how I've always worked. Which probably isn't the most efficient thing, but it's just kind of what I do. I have a few notes kind of written off to the side here on the sketchbook. Look, do you like my disco guy? Anyway, I have a few notes written down that I'm going to try to go through, and I hope this makes sense. And if it doesn't, feel free to ask me, like, follow-up questions. This isn't a text post because I just find it easier to show, like, while I do things rather than to, like, write them out and try to, like, draw out the steps. So, let's see. For body and stuff, I always start with the head. Like, the head is always the first thing. And you always do, like, the little crisscrossy for the eyeballs and stuff. So that's number 1. Then I do the upper torso, which is just a box. Kind of like, it usually has this shape like this. On female, on you know, more of a feminine figure, it's kind of more exaggerated, or it goes in a little bit higher, whereas for more masculine figures, it's usually a little bit lower and isn't normally quite as exaggerated. That, of course, isn't like a definite, depending on like body type and bunch of different factors, different things change about like when you're drawing someone, but for like a very, very basic rule of thumb, that's kind of what you can go on. So then after that, I do like the lower section of like the body. Imagine kind of like this is a belt where like I'd put like the belt for pants. Then I usually do the feet, the legs, so I do the legs kind of in sync, so you do the top 2 sections, then you do the bottom and the feet. I think a lot of people tend to do like small feet like that. So if you're doing, one thing that I always thought was neat when I at least discovered it, was like the key to just doing kind of, not better feet, better isn't the word for it, but to do the different style of foot, is you just kind of can elongate that a bit to make it kind of similar to different styles that I've seen. Then after that, I go through and I'll usually pose the arms. And the arms are kind of the most fluid thing I think about it. Not fluid, but like wishy-washy. So I do like that. And then it's like a line. And then I do the forearm usually as kind of more of an oval. Don't mind if you hear Katie in the background. She's probably talking to her cat, let's be honest here. I love her. And that's kind of how that goes. Because imagine this is the hand right there. Boop, boop, boop. And then I'll go over and like elongate that circle a bit to make it like more of a face shape. Do the neck, make that go down into like the shoulders. And so that's kind of the basics of a body, is that's loosely the breakdown. And one thing I've trying to get better at is that like eyes and stuff, or like halfway, etc. But this isn't a face tutorial, so we're not really gonna go into that. So then to do that like 3/4, you would just, instead of doing the line straight, you do that. Again, this is the upper torso, except like if we were to do like the T up there, then this is like where the arm socket is, and we go back down into like the box. I don't know if seeing it drawn out, if at least seeing me drawing it out helps at all. I'm kind of hoping it does. It's just kind of, a lot of it is just kind of stuff that, because I've done it so much, it's easy for me. I tend to do arms a little bit longer than they need to be. Arms should, like your wrist should be about like right there. But like, for instance, him, if he were to extend his arms, they would be way longer than that. I've kind of always been like that since I was a kid, making arms like way too long, very long. I one time designed a bionicle with my brother that had like really long arms, and he was like, you should shorten those, and I was like, no, and I think he looked something like this. It's been a while, but like, and his arms were like that, like literally like almost touching the floor, and I was like, I love him. So probably some of it comes from that. And then you just kind of take those basic ideas, like, so if we want to go into this is like a big cylinder. It's basically like the body is just a bunch of cylinders stacked up onto each other, and then you just like play around with them, and of course I don't always do the steps in the order I said every single time. For instance, for this one, because I'm thinking about what the arms are doing more, I'm working and the arms are the main focus. I'm getting the arms right, and then with that in mind, I figure out what would the legs be doing if that's what the arms are doing. And so if it's a smaller sketch, or a sketch that has, or if I'm trying to get more fluidity and stuff, then sometimes I won't separate the legs into like 2 sections. I'll just do like a solid one, because I know about, like, I can pretty much eyeball the length and stuff within reason. So we can have it go, oh, that's ugly. And like her hand or something is probably like that. And so that's kind of the gist of how I do bodies. Depending on like the character and stuff, depends on how things look and the complication of size and stuff. My simpler style kind of I tend to like squash things down. Not my simpler, but when I draw, like when I do my little doodles of me, I tend to just kind of squash things down. So it's all like, sometimes when I'm doing like a really fancy person, let me see if a lot of it is like I do it without thinking about it, but this is kind of more what I do when I do like a real fancy, like actually going for the drawing. When I'm doing like kind of simpler, I'll mostly fake it. Not fake it, but I won't go through like everything I should go through to make sure that it looks okay. And like, I think the biggest part of bodies and stuff is like, and this is something that like really got me thinking as I saw, if you guys follow Luna Art, they were talking about how a lot of times if you're trying to work on, like, of course, like you should try to be studying anatomy and using references and studying from life, but also you should be doing not figure, but like getting the idea of things. And even if it's like just to get the idea of it, it doesn't have to be proportionally correct, or like even look necessarily like the arms don't have to look like arms. They can look like that, and then you could go through and like make them arms later. But like, it's okay if it was just these lines. I don't think I really have anything else to say on it. I don't know. I really don't know if this made any sense at all, but I really hope that it helped out at least a bit. And anyone who's watching this, feel free to ask me anything else, and I'll try to get around to answering it. School picked back up, so time is needs to be managed a little bit more now. And to the Anon who asked, specifically, I hope that this helps, and feel free to talk to me if you need anything else. And so with that, I will catch you guys in some later videos. At the end of this, I'll just do a few little mini announcements. I got a new phone recently, and this new phone is from when I've used it previously with using Katie's, who just recently got the same model that I just barely bought. It has a habit during after a live stream, to want to upload like a really like fancy version or whatever of the live stream. And it's like that or nothing. So I'm probably going to do my sketchbook tours instead of live. I'm going to try to do them just through regular videos for now, for the next few at least, until I can figure out if I can turn that off. And if I can't, then I probably won't, because that version of it that it wants to upload can take anywhere to 20 hours to upload, and I just That's dumb. So, just so you know, that's happening. But I also have the other good news though is that I have a new phone for live streaming, which should hopefully be better than my old phone. So I hope that you guys are having a great day, and I'll hopefully talk to you guys later in another thing. So I'll see you, and bye.